Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young. Normally with the recording you would capo on first fret, but you'll find some live cuts of him doing this without the capo, so we're just kind of work this in standard tuning. And we're going to start off with kind of that intro lick where you play the open E string. We do that 8 times, and then we go to 5th fret on the A, and then 3rd fret on the A. So you can kind of follow that lick with just kind of an E note. D, C, E, D, C. Or if you wanted to kind of make that really heavy, you could use some things called power chords. And you could use an E5 power chord for that E note where you play the 2nd fret on the A string with the open E. You could kind of work that as kind of a down up, down up, down up, down up kind of an idea. And then we do this cool hit on a D, but you could kind of add the 3rd finger in on the D string on the 7th fret and make that a D5 power chord. And then slide it down 2 frets to 3rd fret and 5th fret for a C5 power chord. So you'd have an E5, D, C, E5, D, C. Or another way to play E5 is to take that 5 shape we're doing for D and C and slide it up to 7th and 9th fret. So now I got 1st finger on the A7, 3rd finger on the D string 9. Kind of work the E5 that way, so you may kind of dig on that too. Or you just got one shape to kind of slide around. Chords that would kind of back that up would start on an E minor chord. When we play E minor, 1st finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, and if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. Now you may also want to think about adding in the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E string 3rd, and kind of make that an E minor 7 chord. That would be a cool way to kind of work that. And then from the E minor, we go to a D major chord. When we play D major, 1st finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the high E 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the B string on the 3rd fret, and if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now while you're on Ds in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 2nd finger and kind of make that a D sus2, or you could take the pinky and add it in on the high E3rd and make it a D sus, so you can kind of say some things around the D chords. And on that verse intro, you may just want to kind of work just kind of that big down kind of for the D, and then we go to a C major, and we play C major. 1st finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the D string 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the A string on the 3rd fret, and if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now while you're on C's in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 1st finger and make that a C major 7, or you can take the pinky and add it in on the 3rd and make it a C major 9, or another way to play C major 9 is to do 1st finger on the D 2nd, 2nd finger on the A string 3rd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major 9. So you could kind of work that as just kind of that E minor, D, C, E minor, D, C, kind of working that change. Or a lot of times with a song like this, to support my voice, I like using a strum pattern. You could kind of work just downs through that, kind of the E minor, D, C. I'm kind of doing 8 on the E minor, and kind of 4 downs on Ds and the Cs to kind of fill up that time. And I'm adding a little bit of right hand beating with downs, so you can kind of play around with it that way. Or one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the E minor and just tried that a lot. You have down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. And the weird part about applying that though is the D and C don't last as long. So you may want to work just a down, down, up on each of those chords, or take the strum pattern and kind of half it and do kind of the D with a down, down, and then the C with the up, up, down. That can be a cool way to do it too. So you have E minor, D, C, E minor, D, C, E minor, D, C, E minor, D with the down, down, C on the up, down. So you can basically be repeating that for our verse until we get to our chorus part. Now in our chorus, we go to a G major chord. When we play G major, 1st finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the low E string 3rd fret, and the 3rd finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now you may also want to think about putting the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret, pinky on the high E string 3rd fret, and working that for your G major. And then from the G we go to D major, and then we go to C, and then you hear this cool little lick where you can play 3rd on the A, 2nd on the A, and then open E. Now if you wanted to, you could even kind of work this as a power chord idea by doing the first finger on the low E string 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the A string on the 5th fret for a G5 power chord, and then the D5 power chord we're using for the intro, and then the C5, and then you can kind of take that C5 and slide it down 1 fret for a B5 power chord. So now I got first finger on the A second, 3rd finger on the D 4th, and then end with your E5 power chord. So if you wanted to work just down through it, G, D, C, and then you can do your hit, C, B, E, maybe you're feeling time in on that, E, C, C, B, E. Or if you're digging on the strum pattern, then you could kind of work the down, down, up, down for the G, D, and C. And when you get to that last part, you may want to think about doing the C chord, but then you can kind of take your 2nd finger and go to the A string 2nd fret to kind of cover that lick for something I call C/B. It's kind of a C major 9, I guess, with an A string 2nd fret with a B note as the bass note, so you call it C/B, or C with a B in the bass. And then you can end up on the E minor. So you kind of work the bigger chords too, kind of D, C, C/B minor, and kind of work it that way. Or you could fill it in with the strum pattern. And on that last C/B, E minor, you may want to do the C with the down, C/B for the up, and then hit the E minor for the up, down of the strum pattern. So it's a little weird, but that's C/B, E minor. Or if you're digging on the C major 9, you could just kind of follow that 2nd fret A string note with your with the 1st finger, and kind of do like a C major 9, but with a B in the bass that way too. Change too is that C/B, E minor. So through that chorus, you have the G, D, C, C/B, E minor, G, D, C/B, E minor. So you want to kind of play around with that idea too. And we end up repeating that idea 4 times, and then we end up on an A major chord. It's kind of a chorus type. We play A major. First finger goes to the D on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the B string 2nd fret, and if you strum all those together, that sounds an A major chord that sounds really happy. Now you may also want to think about lifting off the 2nd finger and making it an A7 chord, or you can kind of readjust the fingers and add the pinky in on the high E string 3rd for an A7. Or you may dig on an A5 power chord where you can do the A string and the D string together. Or you can do 1st finger on the low E string on the 5th fret, 3rd finger on the A string 7 for an A5. Or, in the live cut that I was listening to, Neil was kind of doing this G slide to an A5 power chord idea. So you may want to kind of gravitate to that cool way to kind of work it. Kind of taking that lick and mixing it up. And the basic idea on the A chord is to kind of go crazy. so you can kind of work the down, down, up, down, or down, up. So very cool, kind of build a lot of energy. Or you can even kind of do that with the muting idea at the very, very end. And then we go back to our intro part. Now something I think about too to kind of add to the song is bass notes, and a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, down, up, you can throw in the bass note for the chord. So on the E minor you'd have low E for the bass, and on the D you'd have the D for the bass, on the C you'd have the A for the bass, and on the G you'd have the low E for the bass, and if you're using that C/B it would have an A string for the bass. There's not really enough time to use that. But then on the A we'd have the A string for the bass. So we tried our next verse chorus or a verse with basses. You'd have E minor with low E bass, D with a D bass, C with an A bass, or E minor. You still have it with E bass, down, C, up, down, up, E minor, D, C, E minor, D, C. Or you want to kind of mix it up too. That'd be kind of cool that you can go back and forth between those different ideas we were kind of talking about. Kind of find a way that works for you and see what you can say with the song. And then from that verse, then we'll be going into our next chorus. We tried that with basses. We have G, D, C, D with the D do have a video on kind of a pentatonic map, or something I call the pentatonic map, where you're playing G's and A's and B's and D's and E's across the guitar in kind of a cool little way. And you may want to kind of play around with that, or you can go check out my Talking with the Guitar video on the pentatonic map, which can be kind of a cool thing. E minor pentatonic works really, really well, so if you know the patterns through E minor pentatonic, you may want to kind of play around with those notes to kind of see what you can say with the song too. And kind of jamming out with that can be kind of a cool thing. You can do hammer-on licks, pull-off licks, bends are cool, double stops are cool, doing two notes at the same time kind of ideas, or bends, or vibrato. So you may want to kind of find a way that works for you, and might be kind of a cool thing to jam over with some solo stuff too. And then after that solo, then we go into our chorus part. So we're back to our G for our outro. Or you can take all these ideas and kind of figure out a way that works for you. So feel free to take this lesson and embellish it in any way you want to. Basics of how you get strummed through Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young. Good luck!